So hello guys, welcome back again to Geeks for Geeks Practice, and today we'll be again discussing as usual the problem of the day. So let us now read the problem statement. Uh, so the problem statement says that we are given a fraction and we have to convert it into a decimal. So if the fraction part is repeating, then we have to enclose the repeating part in parentheses, right? So let us now understand this problem statement more clearly with the help of a sample test case, so that it becomes more clear to understand it. So first of all, our given input is numerator we have 1 and we have a denominator equal to 3. So it is basically given sort of like this 1 upon 3. And now we have to convert it into a decimal, that is 0.3333, like it will look like something this, right? Now uh, the main crux of this problem statement is that we know that if I convert this fraction into a decimal one, so it will look something like this. But here it is saying that if the fractional part is repeating, that means this 3 is repeating and it will continue so on, right? So then we have to put the repeating part in the parenthesis. That means the repeating part is only 3 right here. So how we have to return it? We have to return it in the form of a string, and it will look like this. That means we have to put the repeating part in the bracket, or I can say I have to enclose the repeating part in the parenthesis or the brackets, right? So this is the this is the main question that we have to perform. And one thing to note here is that I have to return the string, right? That means this answer should be in the form of a string. The decimal form, the decimal conversion should be in the form of a string, right? We have to return it in the string. Let us now take another example. So if I take my numerator equal to 5 and let us take denominator equal to 2. So what should be the answer? The answer should be equal to 2.5. Correct. As we can see, if I divide 5 by 2 here, so it would come out to be 2.5, right? And in this one, there will be no repeating character. Hence there is no enclosing bracket, right? So that's why we have to normally return 2.5. And in case, let us take another example. In case if it was 10 by 5, then it is perfectly divisible. Then in that case, we have to normally return 2. Correct. So this is the question, right? So let us now understand how we can solve this question, right? So it is a pretty easy approach to follow up till the part where we have to find this decimal one, right? Because we can normally we can normally find the quotient, right? Because this is the quotient, right? So we can normally find how to find if I take this 5 by 2, right? So I can normally find 2 and point 0.5, right? Let us now look how we can do that. Suppose if I denote my upper part, that is my upper part, right? That is this 2. If I take the example of 5 by 2, so it is 2.5, right? So I am denoting this value before decimal as upper, right? And the remaining one as the remaining part, I can say. So how we can separate these two part? So upper part can be found out by simply dividing numerator by denominator. Perfect. Now, if I divide this numerator by denominator, so if I divide 5 by 2, I will get what? 2. Only 2, right? Now, to deal with this remaining part, what I have to do? I have to take the quotient of it, right? So my remaining would become equal to 5 mod 2. So it would be 1. Now, I have to convert this one, by dividing it by denominator, so that it would something look like this. Correct. So how can we do that? We can just, if I have the denominator equal to 1, right? So if I divide it normally, if I divide it normally by 5, so it is like 2 to the 4. So it would 2 times 2 gives me 4. So it is 2. Now if I put a decimal, because the remainder is now 1. So how do we divide it further? We multiply this value by a 10, right? Now if I multiply it by 10, then my new thing become this, then I have to divide by 2. So it comes out to be 2.5. Similarly, here, if I have a remainder, I will multiply it by a 10. It will become 10. And now I will repeatedly divide it by denominator till the point remainder is becoming 0. Right? Till the point remainder is becoming 0. Right? Because once the remainder becomes 0, then we have nothing to divide further. But if I take the example of this case, 0.333, so what? So it will look like this, right? 1 upon 3, I will give it a 0, right? So I have remainder 1, I will multiply it with 10, it will become 10 again. If I divide it 3 again, it will become 3, right? 0.3. So again, the remainder will be 1 because 3 times 3 is 9. So if I subtract 9 from 10, I will get a 1. Again, I have to multiply this 1 by 10. So it will continuously go on, right? So this is the main part that they where I have to pick up a find a way how to stop this repeated occurring, because we will we will iterate until, as I said, we will iterate until my this remaining part becomes equal to 0. But in this case, or in such cases where the repetition is occurring, the remainder will the remaining, that is the remaining variable, right, remainder will never become 0. Hence it will give us a time limit exceed, right, because the while loop or the loop we will be using will go into an infinite loop. So that's why we have to use a way, and that way is to put the brackets, right, and that way is to put the brackets. Let us see how we'll be putting the brackets, right? So I hope that this part is clear to you, right? First of all, we'll find the upper and then we will deal with the remainder. Now let us now deal with one by one, right? Since we have an upper part, that is numerator by denominator, and as I said that I have to return all that I have to return my answer in the form of a string, right? So first of all, I have to convert this upper into a string. So how will I convert this upper into a string? I will help have my helper function, and in that helper function, what I'll do, I will take a string. Let us name it as string as answer, right? And it is initialized with this empty string, right? And what I'll do, suppose if I have suppose let us take a big number, right? Let us take this 5 by 2 example. So I will put my this 5, that is this number, let us denote this number by num, right? And what I will do, so forget this one. If I want to convert this number, let us say 1 2 3 4 in the form of a string, so what will I do? I will take digit one by one, right? So what, to extract this, to extract the digits one by one from this number 1 2 3 4, is that we just take the remainder every time, right? So it is just similar to the question in which we have to find the digits of that of a particular number. So what I do, I just insert, I have this string empty, right? So I will just insert my this 1 2 3 4. I will take a mod with 10. Why? Because if I take a mod with 10, then I will get a remainder this 4, right? I will get this digit 4. Perfect. Now since it is in the digits form, right, it is in the integer form, the number that I will fetch, that is 4, will be in the integer form. Now to store it in the form of a string, what I will do, I will just add the ASCII character of it, or a simple 0 character, right? Or I can also add 48, because 48 it is the ASCII character of letter or the digit 0, right? So in this manner, my this 4 will be converted into a character form, and then I can normally add it into a string. Now, before returning this answer or the string conversion of this upper, one thing we should note here is that since we are extracting the digits from the last, that means the final string that I would be getting would be 4 3 2 1. But the actual answer should be 1 2 3 4, right? So for that reverse I have to reverse this string, right? Right? So I have to reverse this string. So I can reverse this string with the help of a STL function that we have in C++, that is reverse STL function, right, where we pass dot begin and dot end of that particular string, right? So this part is now clear. It is how to convert this or any number into a string form, right? Now the main task is to convert the remainder part into the string and put the brackets, right, in the repetitive part. So how can we do that? So for that, as I said, that to to avoid the repetition and to avoid our loop or the while loop to go into infinite loop, we will be putting up the brackets. So let us now see how we'll do that, right? Let us take example of 55 or 50 by 22. Let us take this example. So what will be the answer? So 22 times 2 will give me 44, right? 2. So I will get a remainder equal to 6, right? In the first step, I will get a remainder equal to 6. Again, I multiply it with 10 and I get a 60, right? So again I multiply this then again I divide this 60 by 22. So again I will get a 2 because 60, right? So 44, because 22 times 2 is 44, and if I multiply it with 3 it would exceed 60, right? So it will be again 2 here. Now the remainder would be 60 minus 44. It is coming out to be 16. Perfect. Now if I multiply it with 0 again, so it would again come out to be 7. So if I multiply 22 by 7, it would give me 7 to the 14, 1, 7 to the 14, 154. Perfect. Now here you will see that again this remainder C or this remainder 6, right? It is occurring here again. So that means if the same remainder is if the same remainder is occurring again, that means this entire this entire the digits or the part after decimal will be repeating again, right? So that's the logic. So what I'll do, if I find that my remainder is occurring again, then that means that this entire part or this repetitive part will be occurring again and again, right? So that means I will have to store the remainder for each digit or each for each this of for if I take this example, right? So I have to store my remainder for each of this digit. For here, what I'll do, like first of all, I had the remainder 6, right? I had the remainder 6, and for what length of this I had the remainder 6? If I do the like one base indexing, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, right? So for this one, I will have 2 point, right? And then I will have to compute this remainder part, right? So this will be coming up when I will be computing the remainder part. So for the remainder 6, my length was 2, right? And again for this was my remainder, that is my remainder was 16. So for remainder 16, my length was what? 3. Now again, if I take the remainder after 16, so it was becoming again 6. Perfect. So I will check that yeah, my remainder 6 was occurring previously again. So that means my this value, my this part, that is 2 7, will be repeating again and again continuously, right? And hence it will go into infinite loop. So to deal with this part, if I see that my remainder has occurred previously, then I will insert a bracket at the first occurrence of this remainder. That's why I stored the length, right? So as you can see, after at this point, if I'm pointing at this point, I have a remainder equal to 6 again. So I will check that at what length of the string I was getting this remainder 6. So it was at length 2. So at length 2, I will put a bracket. I will put a bracket here. Perfect. And now since I'm getting the repeated value again, so I can easily put the bracket here again, right? So this is the approach, right? This is the entire approach. So let us now look and move to the coding part to see how it is coding down, right? So guys, this is our the code or the working code here. So this is the driver code here actually. Let us now minimize it, right? So first of all, I had given this function. So as I said that I will find first of all the upper part, that is int up, by finding numerator by denominator, that is num by denominator, and then I have converting then I'm converting this upper part into a string. So let us now look how we are converting it. So we have this helper function, this entire helper function string convert, which is taking a number n, which which we have to convert it into a string form. And after that, we took a temporary string to store our answer, right, or the converted form of this integer into the string. So now the first thing is that if my n equal to 0, right, then that means I have to directly return the answer because my string would contain 0. So this was my base case. Now if I move to the general case, right, so as we discussed that while we are having a number n here, where we discuss it here, right, this part, I will repeatedly divide this entire number with 10, right, and take the mod each time and insert that that mod value with answer again and again. So that's what we are doing. While n, we are inserting n mod 10, and since n mod 10 will give me the integer value, that is the integer digit, and we have to insert it into a string. So it will be, so we have to convert the type of this integer into a character form so that we can insert it into a string. So that's why to convert it, I have added the ASCII value or the character of 0, right? You could have also written 48 here, that is the ASCII value of 0 digit. Now since we have 1 2 3 4, I will divide it by 10 again. So let us now look see how it is looking like. If I had 1 2 3 4, and if I divide it by, if I take mod with 10, so I will fetch a 4. Perfect. Now if I want to get 3, then again I have to have this one so that I can mod it by 10 again. So for that, what will I do? I will divide 1 2 3 4 by 10, and by dividing it I will get 1 2 3 4. Correct. I will get 1 2 3. Sorry, I will get 1 2 3. So again I can perform mod operation continuously, so that's why I have put it in a loop, and these two steps will be converted again and again. And after this loop is over, I will get my string, but it will be in a reverse order. So to take it so to uh, get the string in the original form, that is in the form of 1 2 3 4, I have to reverse it again. So this is the STL function in C++, that is reverse answer dot begin comma answer dot end and return answer. So here in this string I will get the upper part, or the upper part in the form of a string. So I am storing it that into a string answer, right? Now the second part of this approach is to convert this remaining part into a string, right? Or the fractional part, or the part after the decimal, or into the point, right? The part after this decimal into string, right? How to do that and how to apply this bracket. Now as I said that if my remainder is equal to 0, that means if the case is that if I had 10 by 5, so basically the remainder is 0, so there is no need to put brackets, right? So I have taken this case explicitly, that is if my remainder is equal to coming out to be 0 after dividing this numerator by denominator, that means I have to normally return this string, the upper part only, because there is no decimal, or there is no part after the decimal. Now if it is not the case, then I have to put a decimal, so that's why I have pushed back a decimal character in my upper string. Now to store this thing, that this remainder and the length of the string, the length of the string where this particular remainder is coming out, that's why I took the anodot map, because the time complexity of fetching a data from anodot map is O of 1. If you could have also taken map, but the time complexity would have reached out to n log n. Perfect. So now as I said that while remainder is not becoming 0, I will do some following steps, right? So as I said that if I found my remainder earlier, that means I have to insert this bracket at the first occurrence of that remainder. So that's why I have stored the remainder and the length of the string where it was occurring, right, at that particular position of the string. So what it is saying, that what is the logic behind this line of code, that I will use a function, that is an inbuilt function for in this map, to find whether a key is occurring or not. So here my key is remainder and my value is the length of the string. Perfect. So I am finding whether my remainder is occurring or not. So what does it mean not equal to mp.n? It means that if my that key is occurring in the map previously, that means I will get an answer from find. If it's not the case, then my iterator of that particular map, right, mp, will be occurring at the end of the map. So that's why I've written if mp.find not equal to mp.n, that means my key is occurring somewhere or lying somewhere in the map. And if that's the case, I will insert that opening bracket at the first occurrence of that remainder. That's why I've used empty remain, because it will fetch me the value of that key that is remaining, and that value is the first occurrence of that remainder. So I will put a bracket, opening bracket here, and after that I can easily put my closing bracket here, right? Because the logic is that as I am getting 2.27, right? So for again after this 7 I was getting a remainder equal to, like here, like again after this 7 I was getting a remainder equal to 6, right? So that means I am currently pointing in my string here. So at this point I am getting a remainder equal to 6 again, so I can easily put a bracket here again and a opening here, and I can normally return from this point, because there is no need to compute again, because I know that if my 6 remainder is occurring again, that means that if I do again if I again do find the fractional part, right, again and again, so it will again fetch me 272727 again, because the remainder is fetching us the same value again, right? So that's the logic. And once I have found this, I will normally break this while loop, right? And now further, if it is not the case that the remainder we are facing it or encountering it the first time, that means I have to insert the size of my string, that is the value for this key. So that's why what I have written, mp of remaining is equal to answer dot size. Perfect. That is the length of the string. at the position or I can say that at the position at which my remainder was occurring. Now after that, again as I said that for now let us look at this part, right? So if I take this one, where it is 55 60 by 22 case. So at the first fraction part, that is I got the 60 minus 44, correct? So I got 16. Now again I have to multiply it with 10 again. So that means I have to multiply the remainder at each step again with 10 and then divide it with the denominator. So that's the logic. That's what I'm doing here. I am multiplying my current remainder by 10 and then dividing it by denominator. And then I have to convert this temporary or this value I'm getting of remainder so that I can add it into my current answer string. Perfect. So it will look something like this, right? So suppose if I'm at 2.27, if I'm at 2.2, right? So my next remainder is coming out to be 16. So I multiply it with 10 and divide it by 22. So I will fetch a 7. But this is in the digit form, right? So I have to convert it into a character. So that's why after finding this 7, I am converting it into a character by calling my same helper function convert again. That is this one. That is this part. And then I can, after fetching it, I can add that part into my answer. Perfect. So yeah, so then again I have to update my remainder, right? I have to update my remainder. Why? Because if I was at if I was initially at 50 by 22, right? If I initially was 50 by 22, so I had 2 point, right? Now I had the remainder of 6. Perfect. So I multiplied it with 10, 60 and then divided by 2, 22, right? I get what? Uh, I got here 2. Now my remainder is again becoming 16. So I have, that means I have to, after this remainder equal to 6, I have to update it to 16. So how can I do that? In the similar fashion. First of all, I will fetch 60 in the similar fashion, that is multiply my current remainder. That means I will multiply my current remainder with 10 and I will take, now this time instead of dividing it, I will take the mod, right? So if I take the mod here, 60 by 22, I will get 16. 60 mod 22, I will get 16 here, right? So that's how I'm updating my mod, or I mean the remainder. Now after all of these steps is done, and if my remainder is becoming 0, then I can return normally answer. Or else if it is a repeating part, and then after if I get the repeating part again and again, I will put the opening and the closing bracket and I will break it here, and the final answer will be returned as answer. It is now to compile, submit this code. Okay, so yes, yeah, yeah. Okay, it's basically showing up. I'm getting an error here. That means invalid is a member function. Did you forget the question mark? So it is answer dot size here, right? Now it will get accepted because answer dot size is an inbuilt function and we have to apply this bracket. Yeah. So as you can see that we are getting a correct answer. So yeah, guys, this was all about today's this problem of the day. And as you can see that instead of being, although it's being a medium problem, its accuracy is less than 50, right? Because of this main part, how to apply bracket and break up the infinite loop. So yeah, this was all about today's problem of the day. I hope you enjoyed it and understood it completely. So for more such problem of the day, stay tuned to GFG practice. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, happy coding.